Bueno, pues esto es lo más de guerra. Y cada vez vuelven a ver cuando para pagar esto en mi compañía.
What occurs when the lens is directed to world most dreaded felons? When a creator on the prowl of likes and fame blindly stumbles into the desert of drug lords, murderers, and queens with no crowns. To the greatest extent, YouTube can be considered as the creative source. To some, it was to be made their graveyard. Fame is risky in places where the only things that govern them are not laws but cartels, and freedom of speech can make you be scored forever. There were YouTubers who believed that they could not be touched. It was the belief that a camera can protect them. The risk was worth that viral content. The cartels are not concerned with likes, however. They are concerned about loyalty, respect, revenge. And today, we are going to expose 5 creepy tales about real YouTubers who pressed unseen boundaries, be it with jokes or facts, and brought the anger of criminal empires down on them. Others were shot to death. Some vanished. Others had to go absconding. One thing that they shared: they did not realize how expensive it was to go viral. Therefore, just prior to pressing record in the wrong position, you must ensure to self-ask the following question. Is a million persons viewing really worth the appearance of a person who could never miss? Fame, views, and death. YouTube created millionaires out of superstars, and in other regions of the globe, celebrity status has proved to be lethal. In Mexico, some of the content creators may stroll into ground operated not by the governments, but cartels. These are not internet haters. These are gangsters who have armies, guns, and regulations. By violating such rules, you do not only put your career under threat, you are punishing your life. No exaggeration on this one, it is a fact. And now today, you are going to listen to 5 real-life cases when YouTubers crossed the line in places that were controlled by cartel. Others mocked, others held inquiries, and there were some who were just too obvious. Yet both these cost a life, even when it was a matter of the disappearance of a person without a trace, or when there were public executions. These are not imaginary morality stories. These were not computer simulations. They hit the record button and sent their own death notice. El Pirata, teen fame meets cartel rage. Another online celebrity who became a star overnight was a 17-year-old YouTuber and online personality Juan Luis Lagunas, or, as Juan chose to call himself online, El Pirata de Culiacan, as he shared videos of him in the wild drinking parties. Fame, however, had encouraged him to be rash, all too rash. During one of his live streams as he was drunk, Juan took a wild joke: El Mencho me pelava la verga. That is a slap in the face of Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, El Mencho, the most dreaded boss of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Making fun of El Mencho is not only dangerous, it's suicidal. Several days later, Juan was gunned down more than 15 times in a bar in Jalisco. His end was swift, violent, and legally unsolved. Nobody had to be convinced of anything. The point was made: just laugh at the devil, and you are going to meet with him earlier than you wanted. The cartel, you don't joke about CJNG, which translates to C Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, is regarded as one of the worst drug cartels in the whole world. They dominate major drug trafficking routes, transport military-grade weapons, and they are notorious of executing people publicly. The fact that Juan Lagunas made fun of their boss was not like taking a swallow, it was considered as a challenge. Just as bad, in the cartel culture, there is no unpaid insult. The video of Juan could have given laughter to the audience. Then, to CJNG, however, it was a declaration of war by a teenage entertainer. And Cartels answered the only way cartels could business: blood to sport. Armando Linares, journalism, meets YouTube. Armando Linares was not a YouTuber only. He was a writer and a journalist who owned Monitor Michoacan, a project that started publishing the raw, investigative reporting materials on YouTube to escape mainstream censorship. He unveiled cartel-police relationship, political corruption, and organized crime. This courage had a price to pay. In 2022, his colleague Roberto Toledo was shot down. Days after he had posted trembling video, Armando wrote that criminal forces were to blame, and he was continuing. He was aware of the risk. "Should they kill me," he said, "I want the world to know who killed me." It was the final video that he posted. Cold-bloodedly, he was killed 9 days later. They killed him because he told the truth. The death of Armando was not an unreachable hit. It was an oppression. His journalism was too close to the bone in Michoacan, one of the bloodiest battle zones of Mexico. YouTube provided him with outreach, and it served him as an exposure, as a target. Cartels do not appreciate publicity. They are in the shadows, and they are lighter punishers. This prediction was gloomy when it came to pass, when Armando was found dead. Mexico does not see journalism as a job. It is a risky undertaking, and YouTube has become a part of that front. Edgar Nava, the comedian who died a politician. Prior to politics, Edgar Nava had a comedy YouTube channel with all local sketches. Others poked fun at bad officials, but some made fun of cartel-related violence. He believed that he had seen his YouTube days when appointed the director of tourism at Zihuatanejo. However, past can come back. Some of the things that happened to Edgar include being shot several times by the armed men in broad daylight in 2019 when planning a family-friendly event. Some think he was a threat because of his satirical posts. Though he had stopped actively posting, he was becoming influential. When satire turns fatal, the case of Edgar is not the same. He was not on the hunt of cartels. He was not telling names. Even an offhand ridicule at these may displease the false ones. Cartels do not give any thought about it being just a joke. It is their concern about respect or lack of it. Living in an area where you can lose your life because of making jokes, the murder of Edgar did remind that in the world of cartels, humor is not a secure way. Violent pride has nothing to be off-limits. The drone channel that disappeared. An Uruapan YouTube channel began gaining notoriety anonymously in 2020. They were not noisy and political, only tactical. With the help of drones, the creators were able to film cartel checkpoints on the streets and so-called narco checkpoints, which were destroyed vehicles and even showing conflicts with Mexican forces. The videos that they produced were war coverage, uncensored, real, frightening. In one of the uploads, the location of an ambush done by the CJNG was seen recently. Its title, Así Opera el Cartel en Uruapan. After 3 days, the upload on the channel ceased. Their last post has a literally shocking title, They Are Watching Us, a channel frozen in fear. Whoever has made the Uruapan drone channel has remained anonymous. Others say that they left Mexico. Other people think that they were entrapped or worst. Their site is still going on. The comments are still available. Their videos are filled with messages readings of the well-known slang. "Are you alive?" women exclaim. Nobody replies. It has become the digital graveyard, an echo of something which went over the line. No faces, no names, just silence. Luis Alberto, the man who named names, public denunciation site run by Luis Alberto, an anti-corruption, anti-cartel activist. Luis talked directly unlike others. He has named politicians. He blamed certain officers of sheltering the members of the Sinaloa cartel. There is one particular video where he asserted to possess video evidence of a drug deal guarded by the local police. That video clogged the internet by spreading virally, and it came to pass that within 2 days of that video, his house was shot. Luis lived, but then it was obvious. He had gone too far, signing off for survival. The last video that Luis pinned was the trembling, terrified communication to his followers. "I will never be killed because of YouTube," he added. "I am not a coward, but neither an idiot." He erased all his accusatory and disappearing. He is said to have relocated to the US. Some people are of the opinion that he switched identities. His destiny is not known. However, his message is crystal clear and correct. Sometimes the only thing that keeps you alive is silence. The world's most dangerous country for YouTubers. Although the life of a YouTuber may not seem dangerous, it is more extreme than can be estimated in such states as Mexico. This is not a threat to journalists only. Most content creators are now regarded as informants, instigators, and even enemies. Drug lords and corrupt power brokers are not concerned about whether you have 500 or 5 million subscribers. They just need to say something negative, and you are a target. YouTube has turned into a battlefield, and the developers might not ever know what war they are going into. Why cartels fear cameras? Cartels are not afraid of bullets, but they are afraid of being exposed. Their secrecy is threatened by cameras, particularly the unsanctioned ones. This explains why individuals who create like Armando, Luis, and Uruapan drone team were perceived as enemies. Every video that they uploaded held cartels at a disadvantage of operating in silence. However, in contrast to journalists who have the right of protection by the press, most YouTubers have to rely on themselves. They are exposed and easy to locate. Being out in the open turns into a both weapon and a fallacy, mockery, bravery, or mistake. Not all of these designers were ignorant. Others did not realize that they were in danger. However, something connects all of them. They crossed intangible borders. They blew the whistle either through humor, truth, or technology to something that was supposed to be concealed. And by doing it, they were set as examples, lessons to others who would be tempted to do the like. Was it worth it? Their videos were watched by millions of people. Thousands lauded their valor. But most of them are dead-killed, disappeared, shut up. The cost of going viral close to cartels can be high, usually irreversible. That is why the next time you feel like recording in a cartel territory, remember the question to ourselves. Is 1 million views worth being etched on a tombstone? Some go a long way in the content creation business. Some get way too far and never return. They began with cameras, curiosity, and persuasion. Others desired to laugh. Some other people needed truth. No one anticipated to disappear, bleed, or be buried on it. But that is the ugly truth when the content gets into cartel border. These were not spy agents or covert officers. The creators were common people who entered the space of greatness, unforgiving, that is, something extraordinary. Their narrations are not just tragedies, they are cautions. When the society is dominated by likes and views, when the border between courage and stupidity is getting slimmer every single day, we must consider this question. Do you consider exposing the evil worth being the next victim? Is viral so important as to be silenced called a crime forever? These 5 YouTubers ended up paying the highest price possible because of hitting record, and their sounds still survive, embodied in videos that are haunting the internet corners now. Remember them. before you shoot down in the shadows, before you speak the name of the devil, before you get the taste of fame in a land that lives within the fear. The thing about cartel country is sometimes the worst thing is to have nothing to do, is a blinking free camera.